Pheasant Productions presents the math of ESP, why it works even if you don't believe in it. Gonna have just kind of a roundabout bit of fun here. You know, like the LGBTQ issue where it is strictly the LGBTQ issue is strictly about producing children to further your membership. It has absolutely nothing to do with the reality of the world in general, nature around you, what gods do, what gods think, anything like that. Okay, it is strictly the religions going out and multiplying. Okay, and in that in that same aspect, like I said, the idea of the military is always there to protect a dynasty. Okay, and dynasty? Oh yeah, die nasty. Okay, well, I'm going to kind of pick on it a little bit here, have some fun with it. The whole idea of royalty, okay, keeping it in the family. The United States has for many decades had a fun game about the hillbillies of the Appalachians, where they are small communities, they breed with themselves, they like to keep it in the family type of a thing. It's not just that little small area, the Appalachians of Virginia or Tennessee or anything like that. But it is a whole entire philosophy. Why? Because what are royalty? They are inbreeding, they are keeping it within the families, they might be the Queen of England marrying the King of Germany. Actually, it wouldn't be king and queen. It would be the princess, the princess of England marrying a prince of Germany. Okay, and you have to understand in the development of that, but you have very small, 1% of elite rich is what it amounts to, who run around claiming they're a little bit better than everybody else, and you can follow it all the way back, okay? Whether you want to go after the European royalty or the Chinese royalty, that literally dynasty after dynasty after dynasty, generally some kind of social unrest or war for changes of dynasties. India. The Russians, it doesn't matter, okay? I'm sure that Aztec and Mayan and Native Americans and all of that, they have their dynasties and stuff too, people can follow back through stuff. But they're a little less warlike to get all the power and wealth for their particular dynasty. But needless to say, when you have this dynasty of all these people, you have a lot of inbreeding, and you have a lot of reinforcing of what's called the recessive or defective genetics. Hemophilia is very high in royalty. What's hemophilia? Oh yeah, it's where you get a cut, you don't have what it takes to stop bleeding, so you might bleed to death. So what do? We don't stop the royals from inbreeding and getting their genetics cleaned up. No, we produce special military to protect them. Okay, I mean they can't. If you think about the hemophiliac, in reality, they cannot bruise, they cannot play rugby, things like that, because if they do something internally that causes a blood rupture, it's never going to stop. And therefore, even something as simple as a bleeding ulcer is extremely deadly to a hemophiliac. So you have to do an awful lot of protection. You have to do an awful lot of extra services. You have the very frail people where, you know, the bad hips and various things of this sort come up. And up and down the line, it's all over the place, and it's all happening, and it's always going on. And yet, you turn around and you go talk to the guy who raises dogs, or cats, or cattle, or pigs, or chickens. They always are bringing in new blood. They're always trying to cross something from their farm, their breeding group, with somebody from a distance. Even zoos, they understand they've only got a small select amount of animals. Yes, they can inbreed within them a little bit, but if they're really, really intelligent, they're going to try and get, you know, that zoo 2,000 miles away to send their bear or giraffe or whatever over to get it on with their, you know, their giraffe and genetically have something a little better. So you, in the real world, you realize it's very bad practice to continuously cross the stuff in. This is how this is how you get certain flower colors and stuff. You know, what was his name? Mendel. You know, no, is it Mendel? I forget. Anyway, I think that's right. But you have, Mendel. Mendelssohn's a musician, but you have, Mendel and his little pea pods, and how he manages to, produce exact situations by crossing certain things and all of this. Anybody that walks around in the world can see it pretty easily and quickly, and you see this happening. And you have all these people. And like I said, I'm in a very amusing situation to be in a town of 50,000 who, I have to guess, it had to be about 10 or 12 originating families that came over here to be given the big estates by the Pope, by the church itself. And those people, while yes, they did breed with other people, they mostly kept it within their own circle and family, because that's what you do. You want to keep the wealth there. You want to keep everything there. So you have a very high level. I'm placing it almost 20% visually autistic or visually, defective arms, legs, feet, body parts, things like that. Some sort of defective DNA type stuff. And these people are proud of the fact that they're keeping it within the family. So they have lowered their intelligence. They have lowered their survivability. And they are doing exactly what they're not going to do out on their farms, where they, they don't breed mama cow with the son. They don't breed the daughter with the father. They go and get something else, so that they're not reinforcing the bad genetics and the bad stuff. Okay. German Shepherds. I had German Shepherd for quite a few years. Our family had several of them over the years. The hip problem is because the German Shepherd line, and yes, I had AKC, they are continuously bred within a very small group of circle. So even though you have, say 2,000 breeders, your original breeding pool for those German Shepherds was fairly shallow, so most of that's all kind of fairly interrelated. And yes, the bad hips of dogs, in German Shepherds especially, it shows up as a reinforcing. Little French poodles, they got a real bad attitude. I've seen more than one of them have a little tizzy fit on their owner. Just totally destroy a house, no problem. Again, it's in the genetics that happens. Okay, the nervousness of Doberman pinschers is in the breeding. Okay, so you have this same issue with human beings, and while they're aware enough to see it over there, they're protecting royalty, which is exactly the breeding program they would not protect to have a successful farm or successful ranch. So you see why I'm kind of having fun here. What do we have? We have Trump, who I'm not going to say as any kind of real inbreeding. I've never really looked at his hierarchy of his hereditary and stuff like that. But the followers, the people that are really just drop dead, falling all over themselves, for me, I have to classify them as one of probably three positions. One, they're just an out-and-out diehard Republican. Okay, they can't see any wrong in their team ever doing anything wrong. They're the people that get up there and argue that there was nothing wrong with using a ball, a little grease for the baseball pitch, a little greaser slider coming in there, or letting a little bit of air out of the Super Bowl, since that was an issue a couple years ago. Okay. There are people that totally back anything for any reason, and that's the diehard Republican, the diehard atheist, the diehard Democrat, the diehard I would have to even say diehard liberal. I'm basically a diehard liberal. I have no problem changing my ways and adjusting myself. So it's kind of bad for other people, because you can't follow me because I might jog sideways in the path, not because I'm going to do a U-turn and start doing something totally different. I'm not about facing things. But for instance, when I first started selling farm-raised salmon, I didn't think too much about it, and then as I started to look, I thought, hey, this is great. We're not depleting, and what's already being severely hampered by all the logging industry and rivers, being dammed up and stuff, and then pollution on top of that. But then I started looking at the product. I started looking at the way it was produced and all of that, and I ended up taking it off the shelves in my little truck market that I had. Okay, so things. You change, you do things, you become aware, and that is what a true liberal is. Somebody that doesn't have a problem with following. That's what a true enlightened person is. Somebody that doesn't have a problem. The guy that sits down and says, you do A, B, C, D, all the way to Z, and that's all you ever do, because that's only what enlightenment is. They fail to understand, no, enlightenment is being connected to everything and learning that you know next to nothing, therefore you need to be aware of all this other stuff just to progress and learn more. And you will never stop learning, because your soul, which is where all this is getting recorded into, never dies. It's energy. It's never contained by a devil or anything like that. So you have this whole issue of you're protecting these royalty, and they're not really royal. I mean, think about it. If they had genes from gods, or they had genes from extraterrestrials, it'd take a couple of minutes in a test lab to prove them right or wrong, wouldn't it? But instead, you have somewhere around 10,000 years of people saying they have genes because they were part of the let's see, was it virgin birth, immaculate conceptions, the woman wanders into the forest and has sex with, elves or something like that, or space beings. Yeah, they have quite a history of that too. Anyway,